5 people in 6 states.
And the cicadas are about to descend on large parts of the United States. We'll tell you where and how many we'll see here in Alabama.
And it's not just cicadas, Wes, you have to look out for. Ticks are also coming out with the warm weather. What you need to know to stay safe when you're spending time outdoors.
WBRC Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
And thank you for staying with us for Weather Extra. And I can promise the show's not full of creepy crawling ticks and cicadas.
I hope not.
Yeah, but we are talking about some much needed rain. Now, I know, unfortunately, sadly, we've been talking about all this severe weather in states west of us. It's just a reminder of April's fury. However, for us, we've got some leftover rain. And that's moving in right now. So let's get right to radar. I want to show you this. We've had a couple of showers moving into parts of Bibb County. And I mentioned this earlier. We need the rain. I was checking we have a product here in the Weather Center. We can actually look at the soil moisture, and those values are really low right now. And I know with a lot of us planting gardens and trying to control the lawns out there, it's been very dry here past couple of days, and that breeze is still with us out of the south, but it's feeling a bit more humid. We've had some showers I mentioned around Centerville. That's that one little shower that's tracked just to the north. There's the Bibb County Medical Center, so you can see where this is with respect to Highway 25 areas there through Centerville. It's lifting off towards the north, but backing the view out, we've got a nice little coverage of showers. It's still kind of scattered in here. You see this? There's some areas we're still kind of missing out. It's off and on, but this is going to continue through the overnight hours. So this is going to be kind of a long duration thing here through midnight, early tomorrow morning. This really won't start to move on to the east until we get into the day tomorrow. So that's the good thing. But you can see more showers from Haleyville, Jasper, back in towards Tuscaloosa, Demopolis. Let's go into our northwestern counties here just to show you. You can see a nice little pocket of rain now spreading in over towards Jasper, from Carbon Hill to Jasper, and that's about to start working into places like Jones Chapel, around Smith Lake, Arley, places there as that moves on to the east. A little downpour that just tracked through Hoover. You can see moving to the north. There's Vestavia Hills. A lot of this is over the mountain here, back in towards Rocky Ridge Road, lifting in if you're around Cahaba Heights, and actually that's probably going to lift in there, impact places around the summit as that moves on to the north. Also south into Chilton County now, a couple of pop-ups, and most of what we're seeing along this leading edge is lifting south and actually moving more north here. So if you're tracking along with us on the First Alert Weather app, still can't rule out a rumble of thunder. I mentioned overnight tonight we'll probably see a couple scattered storms. This is the brand new data. This updates every hour, our forecast radar data, and you can see right there through 7 o'clock we're seeing mostly those areas to the west, but notice later it gets more of this starts to spread in towards Jefferson, Blount counties, parts of Shelby, even on into St. Clair County. And notice how some storms start lifting in closer to Anniston. I think Anniston and Oxford will see our greater rain chances after 8 o'clock tonight. Same for Gadsden there as well. But by the time we get to midnight, it looks like a pretty good coverage. Check it out here. Some storms possible. Again, I mentioned the risk for severe storms is rather low, but we could have a storm pop up with a core with some heavier precipitation, perhaps some small hail, some intense lightning and gusty winds. So that possibility is going to be there. This is going to continue through tomorrow morning, so expect some drive time impacts early in the day. We'll talk about the rest of the forecast for Tuesday and the week that's coming up.
Thanks, Wes. And the rain we're seeing here is from the same system that caused tornadoes like this one in Defiance, Iowa. Our weather watcher Ryan Carty sent in this video. He was out there storm chasing over the weekend. Those tornadoes caused lots of damage in Iowa, Nebraska, Missouri, and Oklahoma, where more than 120 tornadoes hit those states, killing at least 5 people. You're looking at damage in the town of Sulphur, Oklahoma, where businesses are cleaning up some pretty bad damage. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt was out there earlier.
What I saw downtown Sulphur, it's unbelievable.
Everything else can be rebuilt, but we can't restore life in the wonderful Oklahomans that we've lost in this storm.
And one of the hardest hit areas was in Holdenville, Oklahoma. The storms there killed 2 people, including a 4-month-old baby. Corey Duke has more about the devastation in that town.
It looks like a war zone. Metal mangled in trees, a silo tossed like a rag doll. The debris coating what was once 86-year-old Judy Kazie's home. Her niece, Stephanie Kazee, speaking on her behalf.
We were on the phone with Judy when it hit her house, and she said, I think it's already hit. And my husband said, it's not. Get down on the ground now. And about that time, we just heard boom, like through the phone, and it went dead.
It's this very storm that changed the lives of so many over the weekend. Stephanie says her aunt is one of the lucky ones.
It definitely wasn't her time to go, and she definitely had God looking out after her. There's no reason she should have lived through her house, as you see the damage.
Her home just repaired from storm damage nearly 7 months ago, and now, 2 weeks after moving back in, another devastating storm.
But it's such a sickening feeling to see that go down, and you're just so helpless.
Although a childhood home built in 1919 is lost, those who made memories here are safe.
And it's such a surreal thing to see all of these possessions that we grew up with, the momentum just shattered and on the floor.
As folks like Judy and her niece count their blessings, others are hoping to be the blessing, helping those who are now facing the unimaginable. Up the road near Holdenville's Main Street is Boomerang Diner, welcoming all to drop off donations for the Skeen family. The Skeens lost their 4-month-old in the storm. Officials saying their mobile home took a direct hit. Donations for the family include anything from monetary donations to men's, women's, and children's clothes. Security State Bank in town is collecting donations too, as well as the Healthy Hive in Shawnee. The scars of the storm's path now serving as a permanent reminder in the town of Holdenville. But a rainbow seen last night is giving hope.
God's promises that it's going to get better, and it gave me such hope and joy yet last night that things can be rebuilt. We'll hug those that lost somebody.
Residents pray for these wounds to heal and for a community to come together to ease the pain.
At least 71 people are dead after a dam collapsed in Kenya, leading to severe flooding. The dam burst after weeks of torrential rain. Search and rescue efforts are still underway. As homes are buried under thick mud, and about 100,000 people have been affected by the floods. If you're planning on going outside to enjoy some warm weather here in Alabama, you need to be careful to avoid ticks. Experts say if you're going into the woods, you should wear tick repellent as well as long sleeves and long pants. If you do find a tick on yourself, remove it with tweezers and clean the area around the bite. Be on the lookout for common symptoms of tick-borne illnesses such as fever, chills, aches, and rashes. But in 30 seconds, we bring it back to the U.S. and check on radar across our area. We'll be right back with more First Alert Weather Extra.
And welcome back into Weather Extra. Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt, a check on radar. Mostly just some scattered light rain that we're seeing at the moment. Pocket of rain now, Walker, Winston counties. That's going to be lifting in so soon around Smith Lake area. Some light rain moving in. We've caught some breaks around Tuscaloosa. I've had some folks reaching out there about some of the Little League baseball games happening there tonight. And I know we've had some delays. We've had some rain moving through, but no lightning detected out of all this at the moment. You can see, well, actually, there's 2 strikes showing up here on the lightning counter. So we have had a few rumbles in there, but as we zoom in a little bit closer, you can see with most of this light rain that we're seeing, of course, no lightning. There's a little pocket of rain that's a little tiny shower that's popped up. You can see around Vestavia Hills for folks along Highway 280 right now. It looks like some rain from Lakeshore Parkway all the way back to 459, but that's going to be lifting back towards the north there towards Mountain Brook areas as we start to see more of this wet weather. But just the beginning, we're going to see more areas of rain, scattered areas of rain, and even some thunderstorms later on tonight. Could be heavy in some spots. As we back the view out, one thing you will notice is there's one severe thunderstorm warning back to the west there, but things have certainly settled down for those areas that were hard hit over the weekend with the severe weather. But over the weekend, we had a chance to meet and greet a lot of you out there that stopped by to say hello at the shops of Grand River. We were out in Leeds programming weather radios thanks to Mills Pharmacy. They had a lot of weather weather radios there on site. And we even had some folks brought their own weather radio and said, hey, can you check on this? But always great to just double check, make sure your weather radio is programmed. A lot of times when we have the test, there's an off-on button on the side of those Midland models. Make sure that it is always on, because sometimes you turn it off, you might forget about it. Just make sure it's on, especially before we have a big severe weather event. Hopefully we don't have a big severe weather event anytime soon, but you always want to make sure that thing is in alert mode. But always great to have a weather radio. Most importantly, it's technology that can wake you up in the middle of the night if there's ever active weather. We might have some rumbles out there tonight, Tania. We'll be back to check out the 7-day forecast.
We certainly will, Wes, but nearly 1 trillion cicadas are set to emerge across the country over the next few months. Washington correspondent Ryan Henson talks to an expert at the Smithsonian's Natural History Museum in Washington about what makes this year unique for those cicadas.
If you can't see them, you'll most certainly hear them.
Sort of sound like a UFO when you get enough of them singing in one place.
Floyd Shockley is an entomologist and collections manager at the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History.
Brood 13 and brood 19 have not been seen together for the last 221 years.
A brood is just a grouping of cicadas. Brood 19 emerges after 13 years underground and covers parts of the South and lower Midwest. Brood 13 emerges after 17 years underground and covers the Midwest and is the densest brood.
You probably see 1.5 million cicadas per acre.
These broods are twice the size and more interestingly colored.
They've got dark blue, almost black bodies with orange wings. A lot of people get freaked out by them. You know, the slow flight and the red eyes really sort of concern people, but they're totally harmless.
Cicadas aren't natural swimmers, but at times they do live in wet ecosystems. So what do? They create these little chimneys right here, so that way when it's time to come to the surface, they can just crawl out. Shockley says for scientists like him, this is a unique opportunity.
For us, this is literally a once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-a-career sort of opportunity to hear them all at the same time in a relatively small area.
You'll start noticing cicadas in your area once the soil turns 65 degrees. In the South, that's right about now, and in the Midwest, that will start in several weeks. In Washington, I'm Ryan Henson.
And still ahead on Weather Extra, we're taking a closer look at where those tornadoes hit parts of Nebraska, Iowa, and Oklahoma over the weekend, as well as taking a look at what we can expect moving forward. That includes some rain and storms this evening and into your Tuesday. Stay with us. You're watching First Alert Weather Extra.
Might take the weather graphics, out of break for that last block. Yeah, we'll take links too. We're going to show some pictures. Tania's putting them together. Well, we've been telling you about the tornadoes across parts of the country right now. And Tania, can you, oh, there we go, across the heartland this weekend. We're also hoping the threat for tornadoes, of course, decreases. We're starting to see that happen right now across the country. But Matt Daniel and Mickey Ferguson, they're here now to show us which areas saw the most severe weather. I went back and I just checked. There were 125 tornado reports across the country on Friday. 48 on Saturday, just an unbelievable event across the country. But Matt and Mickey went back, took a closer look at some of those areas hardest hit.
Wow, Mickey, over the weekend, just watching social media, watching the radar, so many active storms across the central U.S. The videos of the tornadoes were just mind-blowing.
And just look behind us here. This is, as we take this full, the little red icons you see, those are all the tornadoes. And where we didn't have tornado damage, we had wind damage in several places.
Yeah, so many reports. And you know, this is just for over the past 72 hours, but even before that, going to Thursday and Wednesday of last week, we had a lot of active storms as well. But lots of tornado reports in around Oklahoma. And look at towards Nebraska, Iowa. That's when they really saw so many reports of tornadoes, definitely a tornadic outbreak of severe weather.
Just a system that just sat there, just wouldn't go away. So.
Just nowhere to go. And what's ridiculous about this, just how many we saw. So these are preliminary reports from the Storm Prediction Center. 129 tornadoes, 146 reports of wind-related reports, and then 159 hail reports. So that's a lot. And you know, the activity there continues going into today, tomorrow, and even into Wednesday.
Yeah, I was watching early this morning some tornadoes coming out of eastern Texas into southern Louisiana as well. Now, that same system, it's going to be moving our direction, but we're just not expecting the potency here.
No, we've got a ridge that's kind of been protecting us. And notice the severe threats for tomorrow going to Wednesday remain in the same spots.
Sitting right there.
So the big question, Mickey, you know, we've been very fortunate. Is it normal to see that kind of activity out there this time of the year? Well, usually as we go into late April, yes, this is the probabilities of tornado outlook for climatology. So when you start seeing the darker shaded colors, the odds are a little bit greater to see that in those particular spots. So notice even in the southeast, we can get tornadoes in late April, but it really looks like it starts to ramp up as you go into northern portions of Texas into Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma's kind of under the bullseye right now. And as we get into next month, it really starts to taper off here. We still could see some tornadoes, but still that bullseye looks like it's into northern Texas and into Oklahoma for the month of May.
Yeah, it looks like all the wind energy normally shifts into the southeast in March, April, and then it starts to lift northwards as we start to transition to summer, which usually limits our severe threats. So notice by the end of May, as we're starting to transition into June 1st, notice that across Alabama, it's pretty low odds of seeing tornado activity. It's usually much farther to the west. Once again, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska. That's where we see the heart of tornado season as we go into May and June.
So the storms they're seeing is right in line with climatology. It's what we typically see for this time of the year. But fortunately for us, during this month, we should really see the tornado threats taper off where we live.
Yeah, and we've been very fortunate. It's been pretty quiet this month the way we want it. As you can see, normally March, April, and May, that's usually when we see the most amount of tornadoes across the state. So we're looking pretty good. No signs of tornadic weather, I would say, over the next 5 to 7 days. So we'll cross our fingers and hopefully going into May, it's relatively quiet.
And then, of course, we get into June and it's hurricane season.
It is, but we're gonna wait. It's just hot.
Okay.
It is humid, so we'll be watching it.
All right, thanks a lot, Matt and Mickey. And it is really incredible that so far this season we've only seen 4 warnings issued by the Weather Service office in Birmingham, and hopefully that trend will continue. I mentioned earlier a lot of Little League games happening. There's you can see from the sports park here at Helena, 77 degrees, a live look. A lot of baseball games happening right now, but there are some scattered showers out there. Might have some light rain, some more wet weather in that area. 73 right now at at Coleman. Live look from WKUL. We're looking back to the west, but you can see where some of that rain we've been tracking is pushing in closer to Smith Lake. It's actually starting to move in there to parts of Coleman County, but it's just mostly a lot of light rain that we have at the moment. We need this, and the good news is it's going to be slow to move out. We're going to see more of this wet weather continuing throughout the evening. You can see those temperatures in the 70s out there. So Tuscaloosa right now, some off and on showers, but all this will spread in. It's going to be an unsettled night out there, some wet roads, and again, possibility that we could have some thunderstorms out there late tonight. The model data is telling us that we're going to see some more development here through late tonight, that southerly flow. So you can see by 10 o'clock there might be some rumbles of thunder. Past midnight, maybe some hail producers, perhaps some small hail, some locally heavy rainfall, but the risk for severe weather, I just want to stress, it's on the low end of the scale here. This system doesn't have the kind of upper level support that it had back into the plain states. That's why we're not seeing a major risk for tornadoes and severe weather. But you can see there as we go into Tuesday, all this starts to slide back to the east, and then dry weather takes over for Wednesday and Thursday. But it's going to be just humid enough to make it feel a lot hotter out there, because those afternoon highs, I think Thursday we're going to be closer to 90 degrees, but it's a very summer-like setup for Friday into the weekend. You can see scattered showers and storms in that forecast right there for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So not a washout any given day, but several days there you'll want to just check the radar before you head out the door, as some of those pop-up areas of rain could sneak in. Looks like Friday most likely to the north, but Saturday and Sunday possibly during the afternoon. But check in for updates as we get closer to the weekend. High resolution data is going to pick up on that, and we'll have a much better idea of where we could see some rain Friday and Saturday. But I wouldn't cancel my plans at this point, but we will be watching that weekend forecast. But looking ahead into next week, we have a first look at today's weather calendar.
We sure do. Here's our first alert weather calendar, and notice that we do see some days highlighted in red where we could see some active weather in the forecast from, of course, tomorrow morning showers and storms, clearing out for us by Tuesday evening, and then looking dry for your Wednesday and your Thursday as we start off the month of May. So a pretty good note. We start off on a good note, but then we have rain and storm chances returning for us by Friday and into this upcoming weekend, and that will likely carry into the full first week of May. So that's May 6th, looking dry from the 7th through the 9th, with another chance for scattered storms around for May 10th. And then we look dry as we bring in that second weekend of May. That's May 11th and May 12th, carrying into Monday, May the 13th. Looking at our 8 to 14 day rainfall outlook, May 7th through May 13th, a mixture across the United States. With us here at home, could see above average rainfall. Now, as far as those temperatures, take a look at this. Above average, minus up the Pacific Northwest, who could see below average between May 7th through May 13th. But as we zoom in, we could be seeing more of those warmer conditions than normal here across Alabama. Oh, I'm not ready for it. Wear that sunscreen, okay? Drink lots of water. But stay with us right here on First Alert Weather Extra. We'll have more updates right here, plus a check-in with some of our viewer photos. Don't go anywhere. You're watching First Alert Weather Extra.